I found out I was adopted at my grandmother's funeral. I, 34, arrived at my grandmother's funeral with a heavy heart, prepared to say my final goodbyes to the woman who had been a constant source of love and support throughout my life. As I entered the funeral home, I was greeted by a sea of somber faces. Family members and friends gathered to honor a woman who had touched so many lives. I made my way to the front of the room, where my mother and father stood, tears streaming down their faces as they greeted me with tight hugs. As the service began, memories of my grandmother flooded my mind, her warm smile, her gentle touch, her unwavering love. I felt a sense of deep loss as I listened to the eulogies, each one painting a picture of a woman who had lived a life full of love and kindness. But amidst the grief and sadness, there was a sense of comfort in knowing that she had left behind a legacy of love that would live on in all of us. It was during the reception that the bombshell was dropped, shattering the fragile peace that had settled over me. My aunt, a woman known for her sharp tongue and love of drama, approached me with a serious expression on her face. "I need to talk to you," she whispered, pulling me aside into a quiet corner of the room. I could feel my heart racing as I waited for her to speak, my mind racing with thoughts of what she could possibly have to say. "I think it's time you knew the truth," my aunt began, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're not actually a blood relative of the family, you were adopted." The words hit me like a ton of bricks, my world spinning as I struggled to process the information. Adopted? How could that be possible? I had always felt a deep connection to my family, a sense of belonging that I had never questioned before. My aunt went on to explain that my parents had chosen to keep my adoption a secret, fearing that it would change the way I saw myself and my place in the family. They had wanted to protect me from the truth, but in doing so, they had unknowingly created a web of lies that now threatened to unravel everything I had ever known. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal rise up within me, my hands shaking as I tried to make sense of it all. As the reality of my adoption sank in, I felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over me. I was grateful to my parents for giving me a loving home and a family to call my own, but I also felt a deep sense of loss for the family I had never known. I wondered about my biological parents, about the circumstances that had led to my adoption, about the secrets that had been kept from me for so long. The rest of the funeral passed in a blur, my mind consumed with thoughts of my newfound identity. I watched as my family gathered around my grandmother's casket, tears streaming down their faces as they said their final goodbyes. I felt a sense of detachment from the scene before me, as if I were no longer a part of the family that had raised me, but rather an outsider looking in. In the days that followed, I struggled to come to terms with the truth of my adoption. I confronted my parents, demanding answers to the questions that had been plaguing me since my aunt's revelation. They explained that they had adopted me as a baby, unable to have children of their own, and had kept the truth hidden out of fear of losing me. I could see the pain and regret in their eyes as they spoke, their words a balm to the wounds that had been opened by the truth. But despite their explanations and apologies, I couldn't help but feel a sense of anger and betrayal towards them. How could they have kept such a monumental secret from me for so long? How could they have lied to me, pretending that I was their flesh and blood when in reality I was a stranger to them? I struggled to reconcile the love and gratitude I felt towards my parents with the sense of loss and hurt that now consumed me. As the days turned into weeks, the rift between me and my parents deepened. I found it difficult to look them in the eye, to listen to their words of love and reassurance. I felt like a stranger in my own home, a ghost haunting the halls of a family that no longer felt like my own. I retreated into myself, withdrawing from the world as I tried to make sense of the shattered pieces of my identity. Update: the tension between me and my parents reached a breaking point, culminating in a heated argument that left us all raw and wounded. Words were exchanged, accusations hurled, tears shed. I stormed out of the house, my heart heavy with the weight of the truth that now hung between us. I didn't know where to go or what to do, but I knew that I couldn't stay in a place that no longer felt like home. And so here I am, standing on the edge of a precipice, unsure of what lies ahead. The truth of my adoption has shattered the foundations of my identity, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. I am torn between the love and loyalty I feel towards my family and the sense of betrayal and hurt that now fills my heart. Am I the asshole for feeling this way, for questioning the truths that have shaped my existence? Only time will tell. The days turned into weeks, and the wounds between me and my parents seemed to fester and grow deeper. The silence between us spoke volumes, each passing day filled with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. I avoided family gatherings and dinners, unable to bear the weight of the secrets that now lay between us. In an attempt to find solace and understanding, I reached out to a therapist. I poured out my heart and soul to them, sharing the pain and confusion that had plagued me since the truth of my adoption had been revealed. Through tears and laughter, through anger and acceptance, I began to unravel the tangled web of emotions that had ensnared me. With the help of therapy, I slowly began to rebuild the shattered pieces of my identity. I learned to separate the love and gratitude I felt towards my parents from the sense of betrayal and hurt that still lingered within me. I realized that they had only ever wanted to protect me, to give me a life filled with love and joy. I began to see their actions not as a lie, but as an act of love, flawed and imperfect as it may have been. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself standing at a crossroads. I had a choice to make: to continue harboring resentment towards my parents, or to let go of the past and embrace the future with an open heart. It was a difficult decision, filled with uncertainty and doubt, but ultimately I chose to forgive. I sat down with my parents, tears streaming down my face as I bared my soul to them. I shared my pain, my anger, my sense of loss, but I also shared my love, my gratitude, and my forgiveness. We talked, we cried, we hugged. And in that moment, the walls that had been erected between us began to crumble, leaving behind a path towards healing and reconciliation. In the end, it wasn't easy. It wasn't simple. It wasn't neat and tidy, but it was worth it. The truth of my adoption had torn us apart, but in facing that truth head-on, we had found a way to come together once more. Our family was forever changed, but in that change, we found a deeper understanding and a stronger bond than we had ever had before. And so, as I stand here, looking back on the journey that led me to this moment, I can't help but feel a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the love and support of my family, for the wisdom and guidance of my therapist, for the strength and resilience that allowed me to navigate the stormy seas of truth and betrayal. The wounds may still be raw, the scars may still linger, but through it all, I have learned a valuable lesson. That forgiveness has the power to heal even the deepest of wounds, and that love will always prevail in the end. Was this person in the wrong? Comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe.